Hi guys! New armor, and not the one I came in with. That's right. So, quick thing. Basically, there's like a tiny episode thing I'm gonna try and make as a piss take due to a bug that is currently in Star Citizen. Basically, if you've got certain ships that are not showing up in your inventory, or like on your ship list, the best recommendation is to do a character reset, is what is apparently recommended by CIG. However, I decided to do it without thinking, and did it with my character having all his gear on him, which strips him of all that gear. So, don't do what I did, take the gear off, and basically be in the nude but when you decide to reset your character. That way then, you don't lose stuff and spend fucking 2 hours getting shit sorted. I'm talking back here! You can look away, sir. That's right. So yes, 2 hours of this game attempting to punish me and punch me and kick me and all sorts of stuff, which I'll try and keep into a small video to talk about my experiences. But regardless of that, it is the IAE, and I have a sort of new look as a result of that. So, you know, every cloud silver lining. So we're here, finally, at the IAE Expo. It is Anvil Day. It is freaking awesome, and I am almost sure I can't afford to buy any Argo, but I will do what I can. So as per usual, before we go into the main hall, we will have a look at some of the displays on the left and right side. Now, of course, with the physicalized inventory system, this kind of applies a bit more now. So as you can see, you can roll around in your favorite bits of gear to celebrate. We've got a bit of a blue theme going on with the IAE 2951. There's actually a reason now to buy these particular shirts, because there are points where perhaps you want to have them for memory's sake, or perhaps you want to have them because maybe you can take your suit off now a little bit faster, and there may in fact be a reason to have the ability to walk around in civvies. But as you can see, all of the players are in. We've got Origin, we've got Crusader, we've got Misk, we've got Shit, we've got of course the IA stuff going on. If we head over to the other side, we have Anvil Aeronautics. Aeronautics? I love how I say aeronautics when I'm staring at aerospace. That's Argo Aeronautics. Anvil Aerospace, the guys who are on show for today, which we'll be talking about in a minute. Aegis Dynamics, who will be coming in on, I could be wrong, but another day, not tomorrow. I think tomorrow is RSI day. Or it could be tomorrow. I will put a text in the video. So, Anvil Aerospace with their fancy green stuff, and of course the ultimate Chads, Argo Aeronautics. Oh, astronautics, sorry, my apologies. Not aeronautics, because that would only mean air. No, Argo boys are probably the big Chads of the day. Big fans of them, love their ships, love the Argo. And, yeah, looking pretty good. Normally, this would just be it, but in this one, we actually get to see a bunch of audio display panels, which is really cool. I think they are pretty much... Okay, no, so we've got some welcome and some other stuff going on. So basically, you can head over to the... this is basically CIG just showing off. You can actually go up to these particular things and click on the button.
Hello, and welcome to the 2951 Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. This special audio presentation will be your guide to the ins and outs of the various halls, and provide unique insight about the vehicles and manufacturers on display. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy your time with us here at this year's IAE.
So yeah, there we go. So we've now got some audio guides as well as some other stuff to be exploring around. So this is really good. I'm actually quite a big fan of this particular thing. And of course... we're going to be talking about a couple of other ships that will be we'll be introducing in this particular update, both of which I own. I'm rather excited. That was a rather creepy thing. And there is already someone passed out from excitement. Look at that. That is someone who's just had so much IAE coursing through their veins that they've overdosed and died. It does happen. We try not to show these things because obviously it disheartens the children, but some people are just that into the IAE that they overdose. And would you look at that, there is a actual day guide system. So in fact, I was wrong. It wasn't RSI, it being the second day. It was Aegis Dynamics. I was so, like, tempted to say there tomorrow, but something in my brain, I think it's called stupidity, basically kept saying no. So, no. So we have all of the big events, and we'll have all of the big stuff. So, oh no, I was right! For fuck's sake. I can't read. It's okay. I can't read. I'm stupid. We all know this. You should know this. So, of course, if you may recall, back earlier in the year, we had a giant holographic display of a Admiral. I think given the fact that the display was kind of not as successful as they hoped, they probably has decided to not go for that. But as you can see, there are a bunch. Oh, that's really cool. Some nice little old trailers. So, save the stars. Or sail the stars. It should never lose sight of space light lost. This unique portraits. Oh, so there's a series of portraits as well. That's pretty cool. So we've got a very flashy location. I mean, to be fair, whenever you go to an expo center, I always kind of figured Microtech would be the one to nail expos because, you know, it is Microtech after all. They do nail the places, and would you look at that beauty. Absolutely beauty. Oh no! Have they replaced the wanker of the... Oh, they have as well. That guy got fired. Ah, I am disappointed. There was a... I liked that asshole. Honestly. So here we are at the Expo Center. And as you can see... Ah, the Spartan. Yeah. So, as per usual, guys, if you haven't watched this series before, this is how generally it runs. I talk about various ships, I look around some of the ships, and give my particular verdicts on said ships, in an attempt to try and impress you. And then I'd like to hear your feedback as well as your thoughts and vibes from the event, which I think is pretty cool. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, here we are, and let's get going. So, we're probably going to save the Carrack for last, because obviously, it's the Carrack, it's the largest ship in our particular repertoire, before going down into the Hydra. What's the... Oh, okay, sorry, I've only just noticed that, GG. That and its rendering is all cool. So, this, of course, is the main hallway. We're going to look at all of the ships around the Carrack before going into the separate room. As you can see, we have a whole buttload of different weapon sizes inside the Star Citizen verse. Obviously, don't forget, guys, this particular event is a free fly event as well, so there may be points where frames are going to be choppy, servers may die, but more importantly, this is an opportunity for people to learn how to play this game, to see all of the different weapons, modules, and equipment, and be able to try them out for themselves, which is pretty cool. Oh, baby. Right, no, so I'm seeing some of my girls already, and I'm just like, Right, well, let's actually let's have a little bit of a starter process. We've already glided towards her, so let's actually have a look. So this, of course, is the Anvil Arrow. The Anvil Arrow is a single-seater fighter with a couple of size 1 to 2 weapons. Mostly a hit and run with a few size 2 missiles. I can possibly see a size 3 on the side. But I might be wrong. I think they're all just size 2 missiles. She's very fast, very nimble, handles very nicely. I've not really done too much PvP in this game in terms of fighting with flying and all that jazz, and certainly not since the new update, well, since recent updates have been made to the capacitor system. But what I can tell you is that even though she is lovely and quick, she has no ability to fight for like hit. She has no ability to get smacked on. She's not a tanker. She will die very quickly. But as a nimble little fighter to get from A to B, the uses I have for her, she's very nice. I'm probably going to end up at some point, like, maybe moving on from the Arrow, because while I do like the Arrow, it's a very nice fighter, I don't have a use for it. Not in the sense of how I play. So while I do like it, I've owned it, I feel like I've enjoyed the time with it, but I feel like I'm probably going to have to, like, back away eventually and put it to good use some other location. Moving on to the right-hand side, we will have a good old Wooksy at, of course, the Chad, the little Pisces. This is the C8 Expedition variant. So the Pisces comes in two flavors. The first edition is more dedicated towards the Carrack. It's actually meant to be a sort of add-on to the Carrack. The Carrack has a little hangar on the top of the frame, which you can land not only the little Pisces, but also the Aurora. I've seen people land that. And almost, though sadly this is only because, sadly it's not because the system, the landing system in the moment, almost the Arrow. The problem is the wings stick up. If the wings didn't stick up, but just the landing gear came out, you could land the Arrow in there. But no, the main reason is, of course, the Pisces comes in two flavors. The one that you fly with the Carrack and one that is actually fairly competent on its own. To be fair, as a basic bitch starter vehicle, I actually think it's a pretty good little vessel. It's got an internal cargo capacity of, I think, 8 SCUs worth of cargo. It's given room for 2 passengers, and it has a nice pilot seat with a good field of view. In terms of a starter ship, this is actually a pretty good one. I kind of think that CIG is missing out on an opportunity to get a very cheap fighter, a very cheap little squirt ship into the game. I think if CIG sold this and the game package for like maybe 30, maybe, I don't know, 20, 25 quid, I think that Star Citizen would get way more funders, and it would be a very good way to introduce new players into the game and also give them the bare bones basic with the ability to actually do something, because none of this shit is going to last in a fight, but this would be a great starter for 10 for new players wanting to get into the game. I personally think this would be a much better ship to start with than, say, an Aurora or a Mustang, but that's just my own personal opinion. Of course, leave your thoughts in below. So, we now make our way to the other side of the line, and of course, if you're a bounty hunting Chad man, then every Chad man needs his Hawk man, and the joke I have thought about has kind of died. This is, of course, the Anvil Hawk, a dedicated anti-pirate, or pro-pirate if you're an asshole who likes to murder people, ship dedicated for primarily being a bounty hunter, solo style. So, the vehicle in question has a single-seat pilot with a decent variety of weapons. Obviously, you can customize these to your will, but obviously the initial design of this is to be kind of non-lethal. Like, you kind of want to fire these weapons as a kind of last resort to destroy the enemy vessel, or not, depending on what kind of loadout you have for this thing. And of course, if the person decides they don't want to fight and they want to spend some time in prison, you can, of course, get them into the prison by what I call the poop scoop. Which, if we open it up, we can actually see a little prison-style system where you slot them into place, and the poop scoop takes the prisoner away, and the prisoner is stuck in there. Obviously, the way that it's working here is a little bit weird, but that's because we're on the showroom edition. But the concept is basically the prisoner would be forced to go into it. Then the control of the poop scoop would be given to the bounty hunter, and then the pirate can be stuck in there until the ship has landed at its destination, and the poop scoop can be utilized to drop off the prisoner. But obviously, because this is the showroom edition, various ships will be slightly glitchy, buggy, and certain textures or stuff may be missing. But again, this is the IAE. Everyone is hopping onto it, so not entirely surprising. We'll get to you later, my beauty. Is that the Hurricane? No, that's the Hurricane. Never mind. We're jumping straight to you. I, for some reason, misread you. I'm sorry. I'm a moron. We all know this. So this is the Anvil Hurricane. Now, the Hurricane is a very, I would say definitely this is a medium to heavy fighter. It probably needs a bit more to medium because I don't think it has quite the strong tankiness of a heavy fighter. But the armament and everything else says otherwise. So the Hurricane is a 2-seater ship. The pilot at the front and a gunner at the back. And previously, the pilot actually had some access to probably the worst weapons for a stock ship to get, which was of course the shotguns. However, since the update to the ballistics and everything else, now that ballistics have a much shorter ammunition supply, they've in fact replaced those with 2 Panther repeaters, which I think is a vastly better system on that. I'm genuinely, I think that's a damn good decision. Obviously, you can customize the loadout as and when, but giving to Panther repeaters rather than to shotguns, I think, makes this vehicle a much more menacing threat. And it looks like they've also replaced the guns at the top. Previously, they used to be tarantulas, like basically what I call the 50 cal or quad 50, but they've now replaced those with repeaters as well. So you could, if you wanted to, go back to having those things, because I'm not going to lie, that shit is fucking amazing. Or you could decide to go above and beyond and equip all of those with the Devastator, like Gatling guns, which, to be fair, actually sounds like a pretty fucking good idea. It's a very good ship. I like it, but I wouldn't want to own one. Again, for me, these kind of ships have not that much of an appeal because, well, in order to really utilize it at this moment in time, you need a friend with you. Though there is talk about certain ships having a turret slave option. That kind of feature, I feel, is going to be far, far into the future. Once this becomes a feature that, you know, any and almost all ships can have, then maybe we could see some... Maybe we could see something, but I honestly don't... At the moment, this ship only has an appeal as similar to the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie? God, no, not that. No, sorry. Arrow. You know, it's a ship. It will get me from A to B. It does a job, and it can go into contact, but its real strength, I would say, is when it has that second gunner. But that's my own personal opinion. So as we make our way to what looks to be like a ship left in the side and kind of dumped on its head, which is a bit of a shame, because I think this ship is absolutely goddamn beautiful. This is, of course, the Gladiator. An absolutely beautiful medium, light to medium bomber. It is a beautiful vessel. It's got two size 2 Panther repeaters, which are admittedly on a gimbal. So if you want to replace them with a fixed, you can actually probably replace the gimbals with a fixed platform, which will be pretty dope. And it also has, as you can see, access to 8 missiles, all size 2s, and obviously depending on how you want to customize them, you can improve them, reduce the amount of missiles, but increase the size. We're going to open this up at least. I'm gonna try and see if I can change some things. So normally I'd be running around, going into the cockpit, and, you know, checking out all of the ships, and I'm gonna try and be a little bit more efficient with my timing. Right, has the pad opened? Right. Right. Now, can I open exteriors? Right, the power is on. There we go. Not really what I wanted to see. I was really wanting to open the bomb bay doors up. Close exterior, exit left, exit right. Close exterior. Is it not going to let me have it? I don't think we can see them in this particular endeavor, which I am a little bit sad to see. Right, well, at least we'll... I can at least walk over the areas that it's located, but obviously the main strength of the Anvil Gladiator is not the fact that it can spam shitloads of missiles, though it is a very strong contender. It's not also the fact that we have some size 2 laser ballistic repeaters, which are on the top. Laser repeaters on the top as well, which sadly again requires a gunner. That's the only big disadvantage, but again, once the turret slave system is there. No, the thing that makes me love it so is the fact that under this beautiful little container, we have 4 size 5 torpedoes. Stalker 5s, in fact. These things are beautiful. It gives this fairly nimble and effective fighter bomber that extra punching power, which, I'm not gonna lie, I fucking love. It's one of the main attractors to this thing for me, apart from the looks, because I absolutely love the look of this ship. I'm kind of biased, I realize, but... And also, this particular ship is actually not that differently designed. I think this is kind of one of those ships that have been left to the wayside, because apart from some of the HUDs, the heads-up displays and a few of the cockpit changes, this particular vessel, and obviously the weapon changes since the implementation or whatever, this vessel doesn't seem to have been too vastly affected by the particular change arounds. Like, certain ships have had their whole designs changed. The Gladiator, for example, is a beautiful case of fuck ton of change on the same chassis. But still, it is really awesome. I hope that once we do see some more changes, this ship might be given a bit more attention, just in terms of like options. For example, rather than having just missiles on the top, I'd happily trade like 4 of the missiles to add a couple of extra gun pods to it or something. Just, you know, options, but still. So as we make our way into the first Okay. As we make our way, this guy just scratching his ass as we come up to him, like, "Hello, greeting of human." But no, well, so yes, this is really well done. Holy shit, the artwork in this is fun. I really hope they actually sell this in like a painting form or whatever, or something I could just have as a wallpaper, because holy shit, there is some absolutely gorgeous images. So of course, we'll be talking in this room about the bay. I call this bay room because holy shit, this room. Oh. The Terrapin, of course, we have over there. Then, of course, we have the Anvil Valkyrie, the sexiest dropship transport in the game. And the ship that every player creams over, that the CIG just love to throw in our face. Like a fucking $100 bill. Oh, don't you be doing that. No, don't you be doing that. Wait, we can actually get inside this time? Are you letting us get... Why do you do this to us? Why do you only let us sit inside this ship? Why won't you let us fly it, for fuck's sake? I don't care if I only get a chance to fly this thing at this point. I mean, look at this thing. It doesn't work, but it works. Look at this thing. Oh, I want it. I want it. I want it so much. I just want it in my life. Fuck you. I'm seeing this ship and it's fucking glorious. So, for anyone who's wondering why the fuck I'm creaming over this particular vessel, because this is, of course, the F8 Lightning. In the terms of lore, Anvil Aerospace is a... Obviously, it's a ship manufacturer that officially has gotten the contract for the UEE's fleet. This is why a lot of the ships you will find in the UEE fleet is mostly, not saying it's not completely, but mostly Anvil Aerospace ships. This, of course, is their more recent addition to the fighter roster. Originally, it was the F8 Hornet. F7 Hornet. That was the big winner of the day. I just realized I'm not wearing my helmet. I've come to a realization whilst I was getting my drink that I won't talk about right now because my sanity wants me to shut up. But it turns out the glitch that I had thought, you know what, fuck it, I'll talk about it in another video. So anyway, back to the video, our video that we're recording at this moment. So the F8 Lightning is an absolutely beautiful vessel, and it is touted to be one of the vessels that you can get for completing the Squadron 42, which obviously it is quite a dope looking vehicle, and it's not meant to be sold into public sector. So basically the concept is once you've completed Squadron 42, you have a guy on the inside who says, yo, here's your fighter from the military service, enjoy. And many people would if they would release the damn thing. So before we get on to my absolute favorite bay, which is available, I just can't buy it, we'll talk about the Terrapin, a little bit of a relatively small minor vessel that I don't think we don't really see. And I feel sorry for that, because this vessel is not a bad vessel in the slightest. This is, of course, the Anvil Terrapin. Now, the Terrapin is a is a reconnaissance vessel. Oh, that looks nice. Its main purpose is to simply go to various zones, far beyond the lines of communication, but far beyond our front lines. Go reconnoiter various positions from secret, and report back, or do long-range reconnaissance runs. So it's pretty much a dedicated long-range sort of fighter. And they've got the components cases. I thought that was actually like storage cases or whatnot, but you know, there is storage, there is food, and I think with the physicalized inventory system now, these kind of ships will begin to I don't think it's going to be immediately apparent, but vessels like have this preternatural storage capacity already in tow is really cool. And this particular scary thing, which is just actually meant to be the data receiving software, is there. So this thing at the moment really not useful. Sadly, there is just no use for this thing at this moment in time. But as a ship to fly around in the verse to do some reconnaissance or to whatever, this is a good ship. And I think I really look forward to seeing this ship being applied in combat or applied in service at some point. But sadly, at this moment in time, not likely to be seen. But of course, we all know what this thing is. This is, of course, the one, the only Anvil Valkyrie. This is, of course, the ground transportation vehicle designed... vehicle capable of transporting ground transport. There we go, is the word I wanted to say. I can't talk. You know this. Talking and playing games is all I can do. And even that, I'm not very good at. So anyway, going into the ship's design, you have 4 VTOL thrusters with beautiful design matrix. A couple of, mostly, the defenses are mostly Gatling related, though I think they've replaced a number of the Gatling guns with I want to call them ballistic repeaters. No, Panther repeaters, I think is the... I think Panther is just one of the smaller designs, but I keep calling them Panther repeaters because that's the name I think about whenever I see that particular ship. As you can see, it's got a very nice bay to roll any kind of ground vehicle, with the exception of... Oh, sorry, to roll in the small vehicles, such as the the Ursa rover, the Cyclone, and the ROC as well. And naturally, the bikes kind of fit in anyway because that's what the bikes do. The only vehicles you won't be able to get into, of course, are the Ballista and the Nova, but that's kind of apparent. You've got 2 floors with a shitload of room for troops. If we open this thing up. Yeah, this particular vessel is often utilized in clans, like Org v Org events and other stuff. Or if you're just transporting a platoon-sized element of infantry, then I definitely would say this is the #1 choice for you in that regard. You also have a couple of Size 1 machine guns on the side, though to be fair, with the ballistic system being reworked, I don't know how often you'll be able to use these things. And how, for example, if you use these things, will it come into the ammunition costs, or whether you have to get some kind of separate compartment? I don't know. All I can say is that this thing is really good, and I really love it. It's an awesome vessel. If I ever go back into like ground mining, this is the vessel I would take with me. It sounds a bit over the top, but because obviously there are vessels like the Cutlass Black, but at the current moment, the Cutlass Black really just feels more cramped. And, oh great, I've got a hatch marker glitched onto my screen, which is absolutely fantastic. Oh, it's gone. Thank the Emperor. So, yeah, so the ship... I'm trying to limit the amount of times I go into ships, because I've done it so many times before, and I kind of don't want to make these videos go as an hour long, because I already feel like we're putting up to like half an hour already. But no, so this particular ship has got some beautiful lines. I love the design of the ship. And if ever someone asks me what is a good ground, transport vessel for both vehicles and people, Valkyrie is the first thought I can go to. Of course, now we have ships such ships as the Hercules, but at the same time, I kind of feel that the Hercules, it's more of a trader vessel, like especially the C2 variant. And while the M2 variant, of course, can transport the tanks and can transport troops, I just kind of feel that that's the best mid-ranger. It just does everything you need it to. And you don't need it to do that much either. But yes, so there you go. Valkyrie, a ship that I would love to have, but I don't own it. I do, however, have it as a loaner at the moment. But of course, that can always change. So before we enter this next room, I kind of am impressed I didn't see this before entering. But this is, of course, either a holograph, which kind of feels like it should be, but I think it's more of a solid image of the planet Microtech, which is really cool. I like this. And also, it kind of fits the scene. I very much love this theme of 2951. Expand what's possible. Push the boundaries. Test the limits. Rev the gear. Crack the plates. Crack the knuckles. Smash the face. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Anyway. So, no, that's really cool. Very cool theme. I love it. I mean, you know me. I love dark theme modes, lighting. Anything with wood as well, I'm a big fan of. So it looks really cool. I'm very much a big fan of this. So going into the actual room in question, it looks like, as I figured, I did see a bit of a preview, but I kind of like to keep going blind with these things. We were going to see the F7 Hornet series, and here we are. So in a small, small lore excerpt for the lore for Star Citizen, is the F7 Hornet was one of the first few, was basically a design which got rapidly which most people fell in love with. In the UEE, it was quite an effective light fighter with the ability to kind of go around, and as such, many variants and upgrades have taken place. This is, of course, the sneaky edition, the Hornet Ghost. This one, I think, is the Hornet Tracker, which is dedicated for bounty hunting, but obviously it's the same chassis. I think if we go to the other side, this is the F7. Hang on, there's one of these which is dedicated for the new one, and this is alright. So yes, this is the F7c Hornet. This is the military edition Hornet, but available to the public. It's got two size 1s on the front, a size 2 slave turret to the upper, and a couple of size 2 Gatling guns on the point. I'm not gonna lie, this particular ship design is something that I'm not a huge fan of. A lot of people, when they were talking about this particular ship when it first came out, this is of course one of the OG ships inside, this is one of the OG ships that came out when Star Citizen was announced back in 2012. This was basically one of the sort of the trailers, the CGI trailers where you had all like the pilots, interacting with all the cockpits and all that jazz. And at the time, everyone was going, "Oh my god!" But now this is the basic bitch edition, the F7c Hornet, which is the civilian edition. So as you can see, it's not that impressive. In my opinion, I don't really like the Hornet. It kind of just feels like a bulky, kind of clunky thing. And before the RSI Scorpius was announced, everyone kind of compared this to an X-Wing. And I think the only reason why they could compare it as an X-Wing was because of the front section. The rear section was kind of you could say it had an S-foil attack position malarkey, but again, not that impressive. The armament felt limited. I think in this edition you actually got some size 2 repeaters, which might be alright. But again though, there's not really much there. Like, you can see the wings and how plain they look. And to be fair, going from a historical perspective, this at the time of its release was cutting edge. You had a fighting ship with 2 guns and like a platform thing at the back you could attach stuff to. And and when Star Citizen was initially new, this ship was probably one of the first few ships to come out alongside the Gladiator. But you can kind of see the difference between the more modern ship designs, like the F8 Lightning versus the F7 Hornet. And of course, we'll go over to be fair, we don't even have to go to the F8 Lightning to talk about various ships and the modernization of Star Citizen, because if you have a look here, this, of course, is the F7A Hornet, which is the current serving ship on, this is currently the, oh, hello, someone's inside it already. But no, this is the F7A Hornet, which is the current serving Hornet in the UEE Navy, which is slowly being phased out by the F8 Lightning. But still, like, it's a good, reliable ship, and you can't bash it. This is probably the only edition I kind of like, mainly because of the fact that the heads-up display looks good. It's got more, it's got a good display. We've got good visuals. If I put the power on. Okay, so this is all we got. But as it looks, as I said, like the interior design looks really good. We've got a decent MFD display. Overhand look is also pretty dope. And again, we've got good weapons. So you can kind of see this is probably what we were expecting. Well, this is probably what you want to have in a more modern fighter versus what the older edition has. But at the same time, it's not bad. I mean, if someone had to tell me you can choose a Hornet, but you can only pick one to have, I'd have this one every time. The Super Hornet allows, of course, for one thing I forgot to mention, is you can have 2 pilots in this thing. The first pilot would have, the main pilot would be inside controlling these little baby repeaters, which again, I have no idea why they thought that was a good idea, but hey ho. But the co-pilot has access to the size 2, actually no, it's probably size 1 las repeaters on the top there, but again, limited firepower. So it just feels like something it feels like they could do more with that ship, but they don't. And it's one of the biggest disappointments in Anvil for me. Most definitely the biggest disappointment in that regard. So, we enter into the main room once more to have a bit of a look at the Anvil Carrack. I owned one of these beautiful ships for a time, but given the fact of how I play, I don't really have that much of a use for this particular vessel. So we are unfortunate. So I have once again moved on. That said, this vehicle did turn into the Hercules A2, which I'm in love with. So, you know, every cloud silver lining. So if you don't know what the Anvil Carrack is, it is a expedition ship. It is here is the baby cargo bay for vehicles, with a really cool feature. So you can either, you can close the ramp that way, but like on the Valkyrie, which I actually forgot to show you, you can actually raise the ramp to prevent vehicles from smashing into things. For some reason, the ship's really loud. Probably gonna have to edit this in post. You have a docking collar on the side, which I do believe actually works now. It's a little docking collar on the side, which you can attach to various... Yeah, the docking collar works. So if you open that up, and then you open this up, you can actually get into the ship now on the side. But obviously, it is not as... obviously, we're not on the side of a space station, so you'd know where to keep. So, you have multiple ways you can get actually up into the ship. My personal preference is to take the ladder option, which is this little side access here. And you go up this ladder. If I don't activate the thing, you go up this ladder up into the technical deck. And this is my personal preference because elevators and we don't exactly have the most healthy of relationships. But in this case, the elevator to the side here will take you to whatever floor you want to go to. And now we enter into the dedicated cargo pods, which eventually will be separable from the ship. You'll be able to detach these and deploy them as needed. So, for example, if you're wanting to go onto a planet and you've got a vehicle here that you want to unpack and send onto the field, you can do so, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, we go into this area. God, everything's fucking loud in this ship. Jesus Christ. It's like the power is on. I am awake. But anyway, so as you can see, we have an armory, we have a suit cabin, so you can put your various suits and other activitous things going on, which is fine. And as we go into the aft turret, you can access this in two ways, through this way and that, at the bottom section of the ship. And I think, is this a component thing? No, it's not a component thing. Okay, fair enough. We won't go into an extensive look through the ship because, you can Google this and you can obviously... There is plenty of people who have already done this particular thing. Is this the elevator sound? Oh my god. It's just suddenly gone quiet. Jesus Christ, it feels like I've been into a forest. Oh, no. I do not want to rent this ship. So we're going to the habitation deck. We'll do like a limited... We'll just do a kind of a quick scan through because obviously this is the big ship, so we have to go through this. So now, of course, we can go into the Carrack's habitation decks. Ah, yes, the other ship. I think the... Wait a minute. I think I know why it's so loud. Yes, it's the lifts. Right. Well, that's fixed that bug problem. So, anyway, I can actually talk now without my sanity dying. So, we'll have a quick look into the medical room now. So, with this ship, when this ship released, this was probably one of the bigger things of this ship as well, is it has its own medical bay. Now, the concept with this medical bay is that it's obviously designed to be something that you can revive people at. Well, you can basically keep people alive and maybe to a certain degree revive them at. In the current game at the moment, you can in fact revive at a medical station inside in a Carrack. So unlike, for example, the Cutlass Red, which now you can't revive at and you can't set as a spawn, this you can set as a spawn. So if you lie down on the bed, you get the same menu that you would get if you were in a hospital, which would allow you to say to the game, hey, I want to set my clone, I want to be able to, revive here if I should die in any kind of thing, which I think is a very cool feature. Now, obviously, I would be pretty... to be fair, I would also be kind of pissed if you've spent all of this time going into, you know, buying this ship, only to then be told, by the way, you can't revive here, which is a bit of a shame. So these two other beds are designed more as... At the moment, they're probably designed as kind of snazzy set pieces, which I think you can fuck around with, or can you not? Yeah, you can lie down on these, but I don't personally know if... I mean, it's possible that these things might work, but I don't think they do. But eventually there will be able to be... These kind of beds will be lower tiered or higher tiered. I can't remember the exact medical procedure process, so feel free to let me know in the comments below once you feel that you know that. But they're basically meant to be like the minor treatments bench, you know, they're the things that if you've taken a bit of a wound, but you're not like dead, then there you go, sort of thing. Oh no, he's activated the lift, which means the entire lift will go now. So anyway, going back over to the main room, we are in the habitation. And as you can see, we have, of course, the important room, which is... Oh, we've got random player talking. Apologies if you hear that in the background. So, actually, can I disable that? I'm fairly certain I can disable that. Oh, comms. Voice activated transmission. No. Ah, there we go. VoIP audio volume gone. Perfect. And is my microphone loud? Yes, mute microphone. Cool. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that should be fine now. We shouldn't be able to have any issues. And I'm not annoying anyone, which is the other thing. So, there we go. I don't think I was ever communicating with people on that, but who knows. Anyway, so, of course, the big important room, which is pool. One of these days we will be able to play pool, and I love it. I do love the Anvil Aerospace pool table. I would love to have a pool table like that. And of course the habitation room where the crew can eat, sleep, and... Oh, okay. Oh, the door needs to open, that's why. And of course the showering and habitation rooms. This ship is very impressive, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, for an expedition ship, this is exactly the kind of thing you would expect to see inside an expedition ship. There is the food, canteen, and of course there is the captain's dorm, where of course if you enter into it, you can see a giant array of captainal things, reminding you that he is in fact a wanker. So, if we head to the bridge, right, and turn off and use the lift to make them not so loud, you are presented with 3 rather nicely designed cockpit chairs, which is pretty cool. Apologies for the frames. These frames go from really nice to really horrible, but that's my rig for you. So as you can see, you've got 3 particular chairs to go from. The main pilot seat is in at the center, and the other 2 are more like co-pilots, which is pretty cool. But to be fair, when I was flying this ship, one of the things I actually used to do was I actually used to go to the upper bridge and cancel. That actually would go to the upper bridge, whereupon you have access to the guns. There's actually one which has a remote control turret on this side, I believe. And of course we have the radar. In the center here, this actually would be a radar which would display for everyone else in the upper deck. This particular display would actually show where we were. We can kind of see it here as well as bearing and compass bearings, but sadly not like Star Citizen. When we had this, this was possibly the only thing we had in terms of bearings, but unfortunately they don't apply to the different planets until now, obviously. And of course we have all of these different particular things, but this was actually how I controlled the ship. You can actually fly the Carrack in the command station. Now, the main reason why I prefer to fly the Carrack in the command station and not in the pilot station is because the view I had from here was much better, in my opinion, than the one I had from down there. I probably should have showcased that before I went up here, but oh well. I'll probably do that as I come back down. Actually, fuck it. We'll go down now, just to quickly do a comparison. Right. So, let's have a look. So, getting in the pilot seat. This is the way you probably should go, but I felt that the MFDs on the upper half were kind of restrictive. I enjoyed it. You can kind of look around. It was kind of cool. Again, this is probably the one that you should use, but you can use the other one, which is why I preferred to use the other one, because, you know, the only other thing really whenever I flew this thing was it was just mainly as a glorified transport vessel. If you were going to use it for anything more than a glorified transport vessel, then yeah, no, of course you'd want to be in the pilot seat. But in my particular case, I kind of found it to be nice to be the other thing. Anyway, moving on to the midsection of the ship, we are now getting midsection. We're going from the bridge back to the upper section, which is the technical deck. You will see the drone room. This is basically where we would be utilizing our drones, customizing the drones, doing whatever we would need to do with drones. This is the repair room, where, of course, NGs would be making stuff. I think this is like a printer or a repair station, but it might be one of those like plasma cutting stations, and it has all of these really fandangled like bits of equipment, which is cool. And going further afield, we have, of course, the elevator, which we can get to on other times. So here is the hangar bay, which, if we open the door, you can actually get to see how it all goes from here. So this is normally where you would park your Pisces ship, which is what it's intended to have. But again, there are certain ships which can fly into it. Limited amounts, but you can get away with it. If you want to know specifically, I suggest you watch not Lore of the... Lore of the West, who likes to make videos on stashing shit into cramped spaces. That's not pornographic, I swear. But yeah, basically, it's a will it fit video series where he tries to fit as many ships into certain environments as possible, or vehicles. But yeah, it's a good fun, actually, quite enjoyable. So going into the rear section, you actually are given the opportunity to have a look at the different turrets. So for example, the port turret and the starboard turret as well. And also, if you go into here, I think this is just the normal elevator. But I think if you go to the one in the rear, there's like the opportunity to hop into the top turret as well. I think it's this one, potentially. I can't remember how to get into the top turret. But basically, there's an option for you to get into one of the top turrets, which that gives you a nice 3D perspective. We'll have a quick glance around here, because obviously haven't got a huge amount of time left, sadly. But this is the engineering room. Nothing really of value in the moment, but obviously if you're a fan of being in a big engine room when you're flying around, then this ship has got it for you. So effectively, that is it for the main part of the ship. But there is one tiny bit more we're going to be having a bit of a quick look at, which of course is the cartography room. So the cartography room can only be accessed from the hangar, from the elevator, located at the stern of the ship. As you can see, it's a nice little old deck option. So we'll be taking off, going up, and here we are. So this is basically a room that has no use at the moment, but eventually it will kind of act like like Mass Effect, in the sense that you can probably plot routes and learn how to navigate the particular sectors that we have. Hello, random person. But this room is fairly useless at the moment. There's not really much of a it's more of a glorified transportation room or whatever. So there we go. And of course more escape pods. But the big sellout, of course, or the big selling point is we also have the opportunity to use the airlock, which takes us out into the upper half of the ship. Oh, I know how to get to the top of the turrets. This isn't a manned turret. This is a thing that you get to the bridge. That's why I couldn't remember. Right, so there we go. And this is the top half of the ship. So that's pretty cool. Right, I'm going to take the opportunity to go down. And we're taking a bit of damage, but I think I've got an EpiPen somewhere. Utility, I think it would be under. Yes, I do, and I can use it. Equip. Yes. Fantastic. I have one thing left. So, note to yourself, try not to get injured whilst at the remaining events, as my drug level goes down. GG. But there we go. So, there is the Carrack. There is the Carrack expeditionary craft. For in my particular opinion, The Anvil Carrack is a fantastic vessel with, once full functionality comes into its own and there's a reason for you to explore, I think a lot of vessels, not just the Carrack, will be able to see a more glorified usage of them. But in the Carrack's case, I think the Carrack will be a really good starting point for loads of players who want to... Because obviously this isn't going to be the first, and this isn't going to be the only exploration ship or expedition ship. You will find there are plenty of other ships that will want to take up the mantle as well. But I think in the Carrack and Anvil Carrack's case, this is probably the best well-rounded option. You've got your own little transport pod to explore. So in case, for example, you don't want to go onto the planet with the big ship, you just want to have a small ship, so like Star Trek. But you also have the ability to drop in ground transportation as well as set up a potential FOB. So again, all of these particular features combined makes this particular ship, I think, phenomenally useful in that regard. But again, that's my particular opinion. Particularly because that's the word that I like to say right now. But in all regards, I like the ship. I don't have a use for it, so I kind of moved on and went further up afield. But I still think this ship is well worth someone's time and effort if you want to get into transportation of decent large cargo, as well as making you set up what looks to be an FOB, because this thing is often used as a base or a target objective if you're doing like a clan thing. Before we go down into the last segment, of course, we have the option to go and utilize the audio syncs and stuff, but because that would take us fucking ages, we're not going to do it in this particular event. But I highly advise you have a look at these particular things and have a click on them. Basically, all you'll hear is these particular things, so if you want to hear the words rather than see the words, then there you go. But anyway, let's make our way down the stairs. Again, I love the theme. Dark blue. I will not lie. My theme of my favorite color is not blue, but if you do it in this kind of lighting, oh boy, it is. It's really nice for low lighting. Like I'm a low light kind of guy, and this kind of shit I fucking love. This is the kind of shit I will have in my home. You know, it saves power maybe. But I literally would live in this kind of stuff. Holy shit. Anyway. So, of course, before we head over to the holographics, let us look at the new ground transport vehicle, the Anvil Spartan. Now, 100% this is blind. I have never been in this thing. I've only heard, I've watched Inside Star Citizen, and I've watched the Jax McCreary video before loading this up. Obviously, for those who don't know, obviously for those who know, this is of course based on the same chassis that the Ballista is utilized, but this particular vessel is just, as instead of having a massive bunch of size 9 missiles and other shit on it, it instead has only the machine gun as an option, but instead it has more troop transport capacity, which I have to admit, I didn't think I'd really be interested in it, but this kind of seems cool. And they did mention in the Inside Star Citizen episode that eventually these ladders will be useful. At the moment, they're not able to be utilized, but in the future, we will be able to see these things. So maybe this will be something you could use to scale a compound wall or something along those lines. So let us enter via the rear of the vessel to have a crack at ourselves. So there's a ramp access to the side here. So you could definitely carry a squad inside, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I say a squad. I kind of consider a squad a 10-man section, like a 10-man group, but obviously your definitions of squad and my definitions of squad may change a bit. But I feel like 10 men is probably a good representation of a squad. You've got 2, 4, 6, 8. So 8 seats with a couple of sergeants maybe standing on the top. There's apparently room for armaments, though I don't see any weapon racks, which is a little bit concerning, because obviously now with the physicalized inventory system, you may want to like store certain weapons on the equipment. So for example, spare weapons, spare mags, the big weapons if you don't want to have to lug around this thing. I don't know how realistic Star Citizen will be, but normally you would put like a slot for like the big shit, like a rocket launcher or an anti-tank rifle or something like that, you know, something that, you know, normally wouldn't be just carried on the person sort of deal. But no, that looks pretty cool. The sides, Yeah, these two particular doors and everything. And we have the front side of the seat, which looks pretty much the same as before. Ooh, steering wheel. Nice. The steering wheel actually looks pretty fucking cool, actually. A bit like some of the e-racing things I've seen. Yeah, not gonna lie. Not too dissimilar from the one I've got. Mine's got a few more gizmos on it, but that's pretty much the same thing. But anyway, so... yeah, no, this is pretty good. I do like the front half of the Anvil's ground transport anyway. Like the when I was rolling around the ballista, it's pretty cool. And obviously the driver has access to the guns on the top, which gives him a nice 360... oh, there's the weapon drop. Okay, so that's clearly a location for what the driver would be intended on carrying. What's this? What does this... oh, that's the oh, right. Okay. So this is a point where you can store shit. Okay. Okay, so we do have that. And of course, here's the components internally. Okay, so yeah, I take my back what I said. There is a storage component. Bit weird that it's in the driver's side, but oh well. I think probably for the sake of space, that's fine. But no, okay, fair enough. There is in fact a location where you can store weapons, and it's inside the vehicle. I probably should have looked at how much you could carry in this vehicle, because that's going to be a thing. So apparently, it's the vehicle. The external storage is unlimited, but the Camel is 100 or 1000k USCU. So doesn't really give us too much to go on. I'm not really mathematically minded in this case. I can't remember how much that goes, but you can probably drop. You could probably carry a few heavy weapons, maybe some ammunition, some supplies. Nothing too extensive, but no, that's not bad. That's pretty good. That's pretty cool. So there you go, the Anvil Spartan. Certainly not Spartan in its design, but well, certainly not Spartan in terms of what you can do, but still a nice a dedicated ground transport vehicle, which finally can replace the RSI Ursa. Which I'm not gonna lie, the Ursa, yeah, it's definitely seen its day, and I think with this vessel going around, it's gonna be probably not completely ripped off, because obviously the Ursa is much smaller. It can't transport as many people, obviously, but it does have the advantage of being a smaller profile and a smaller target. So now we actually have the choice. Do you want to go big and bulky, or do you want to go nimble and quick? So there you go. So anyway, yeah, not bad. I like it. It's not a bad vessel. I think, what's the other side? Oh, textures, loading, possible. Right, we're going to have a drum roll for the next one. And, yeah, there you go. There's the, yeah, there of course is our, there of course is the ballista. Well, we all know what's inside. You know, we all know what it looks like. There is, of course, the missiles. We have the machine guns at the top. We've been inside this vessel before. We know what it's capable of, so there you go. So there's the other vessel that compare it to. That was to be fair, this was like the first, with the I think when I first, to be honest with you, a little bit of a personal history, but when I recently had come in to start properly playing Star Citizen back in 2018, this was the first ground vehicle big release that I saw. This particular vessel. This was new when I first got back into Star Citizen. So there you go, a little bit of history with you, a little personal history with you. That's how old this vessel is. So yeah, I always kind of felt sorry, because after like the initial honeymoon period of us seeing this really nice ground vehicle, hardly anyone's ever used it. Though to be fair, could you blame them? So, the last room of Anvil. We've already hit that point where we're already looking at the last, which I feel a bit sad over. But, don't forget guys, this is just the first day. The first day! We'll be able to enjoy more shit on the following day, which is not Aegis. In fact, I think it is RSI. So, here we go. Of course, this particular room, for those who don't know, is a dedicated holographic room, which showcases all the ships that have been announced in concept and have yet to see a physical release into the verse. So we only get to glorify what kind of holographic display they want to put in. So, without further ado, here we go. So this is the Anvil Liberator. This is a dedicated, what I'm going to call the Higgins Boat of, or no, Amtrak of of Star Citizen. The concept with this particular vessel is that you carry both ground vehicles and space vehicles into combat. Holy shit, that looks cool. So the rear section of the ship, as you can see here, has a little hatch and stuff, and it kind of comes down. You drive vehicles into it, and it has a certain amount of supplies and stuff. This is the kind of you would use this in invasions, obviously. Oh, look at the detail. I mean, look at the detail we've already got on that. There's the docking collar and everything. So yeah, this was announced recently, and unfortunately, it's a bit of a shame we don't have any sort of pedestal to look up into it, because some of the better shit is actually located up here, because as you can see, there's like a little stairway going up there. This thing is actually fairly big as well. Obviously, it's designed to have 2 small fighters onto it, as acting as a landing pad. So this is the kind of stuff that you would probably have when you initially invade a planet. You would have this thing flying from the main, the big ship, and then as you would come down over the orbiter, or going, high atmo, going to low atmo of the planet, you would release the fighters, and then this ship would come further down into the field, into the planet itself, landing and thus deploying the troops and hardware. So you've got like 2 crew members. There's one of the areas for the crew, and there is, I think, there's also an option for them to utilize a turret, though I don't see the turret from here. Again, I kind of wish CIG would put like a platform to look up into these things rather than making me rely on this. Human, could you please move? I need you to move. I would stab you if I could. Right. Oh, come on. Stop looking at it. It's not that impressive. I mean, it is impressive, but I need to move. Ah, for fuck's sake. Move, you retarded spazwad! I'm gonna shine my light on you until you fuck off. You can't see anything. Go away. Go away. Oh, fine. Fuck you. I just want to find a place that I can stand up so I can show you the higher part of the ship. But there we go. So I will try and jump at certain points so you can hopefully see what I mean. But basically the concept is there would be a turret on one of these sides, which is, I believe, manned. And there's like a very limited amount of armaments for this vessel. But the main purpose of this vessel is not to fight. It is to get shit into the fight. And as you can see here, there's like a garage door, which you would also use to transport and ferry supplies to the ships that are on the deck as well. It's a mini carrier as well, it's basically, in a sense. So, it's a really damn good ship, I'm not going to lie. And it's one of those things that I kind of almost feel sorry for Hercules, because when this thing was announced, I could imagine thousands of Hercules crying out in pain and anguish, and then were quickly silenced as they were upgraded to this particular model. Or completely disregarded by people who are more seriously into the clowning business. Because obviously, the Hercules is good. The C2 edition, carrying fuck tons of SCU's worth of cargo, is fantastic. Carrying the tanks also is a really good thing. But this does more than just carry tanks and armor. It carries, aircraft as well. It's a dedicated platform for carrying all 3. So naturally, this is going to sit well with some of the big clan organizers who will look at this thing and, drool coming out of their mouths and everything. It's mental. So no, it is extremely cool. I like it. I don't think I'll ever use it, but I fucking like it, and I'd love to be on the deck of one of these things one day, especially during an invasion. But still, this is like a logistics person's wet dream, and I think. I know I want to see this in action. Maybe, who knows, maybe I might fly this one day. I mean, I'm not against the concept of being in the logistics, but yeah, no, it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty dope. But that is unfortunately all the time we have for today. I hope you guys have had a lovely, IAE. I've had a lovely day looking into this particular thing. I've had a fucking horrible day beforehand trying to get this shit to work, and I need to find certain things that have happened. Again, I'll refer that in another video. But no, this has been a really awesome thing. I look forward to seeing more out of the IAE. Especially when we start seeing the ships that have been recently released, such as the Redeemer, and of course little old Bay, such as the Inferno, which has now finally been released. I've even flown the Beauty for a bit. But no, this has been a really good day so far. I think this event to start off with the Anvil Aerospace is really cool, and I look forward to seeing more out of these guys in the future. But that's all it is. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this kind of stuff, let me know in the comment section down below. Clicking on the like button or not because unfortunately, since YouTube have decided to remove like buttons because somehow they want to preserve people's feelings, or the corporate scum or corpo scumbags, or that is more the actual truth. If you don't like it, just don't hit the like button. Hell, even type the word dislike, and I will see it there, because then people can actually see the dislike, even though it's not now a feature, apparently. I wish I could set that as a thing. If I could just set it as a thing. I'll go into this in the channel update, but again, I wanted to make my point on it. Fucking YouTube, come on, seriously. Keep the dislike button. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. This is Mr. Jaeger, signing out. Don't forget, there'll be more in this series as well. There will be more. We will be doing every day, with the exception of the last day, because holiday, Christmas holiday. But again, we will see you in the next one. This is Mr. Jaeger, signing out.